people who don't self-reflect don't necessarily think they know everything. That's not necessarily the root cause of that. But there's this process for leaders to follow. It's a conscious consideration of their beliefs, their actions, and their purpose. And in that reflection time allows your brain to pause around chaos and sort through observations and experiences and consider possible solutions and interpretations for things. And then those reflections are your learning tools. And what's interesting to me is I don't think a lot of people look at it that way. If you want to learn something, you can go online and take an e-learning class. You can go to a webinar. You could go to an in-person training when that resumes. Google. There's 1,000 ways you can learn things. But where does self-reflection fit? Where does taking the time to look through observations, experience, interpreting things differently, and taking yourself out of the chaos, where do those learning tools come in? And I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is that for leaders, this is what gets in the way. The first thing is leaders don't understand the process of self-reflection, many of them. And here's what will happen. They'll say to me, so let me just get this straight, Mark. You want me to sit there for 30 to 60 minutes and just basically reflect on things, like reflect on what I could be doing better? I mean, is that what you want me to do? And I'm like, well, part of it, yeah. I mean, that's part of it. But you'd have to know what you're reflecting on. For instance, there are questions you could be asking yourself during that 30 to 60 minutes as opposed to just sitting there and staring at a screen. You could ask, are you aware of how your team perceives you? Are you focused on the right priorities? Do I have the right schedule? Am I managing my time properly? And on a personal level, you could say, am I pursuing the things I want to pursue personally? Why or why not? So yeah, I know it might seem benign and like, well, I don't understand. I'm just going to sit there. Like, what do I get for this? Where's my ROI? What's the bottom line for self-reflection, right? So so let's say we get through, I don't understand the process. Now, okay, so fine, I got to ask myself those questions. Well, then we're where I was just going. Well, I don't like the process because I don't know what I get for it. There's no clear return or deliverable. I don't have time. If I'm going to involve, you know how busy I am? I have so many things I got to get done, and I'm supposedly going to take myself out of this chaos and put myself aside, and there's going to be an actual tangible benefit of that? Yes. And I can tell you that if you talk to people who successfully self-reflect, they will tell you that virtually every time they self-reflect, they get benefits from it. And in many cases, a lot of benefit from it. Now, what's interesting to me, the spin on this, right, is I was looking at a study prior to the show today around soccer. And this was beautiful because most leaders have a bias towards action, right? They want to be able to do something with the information they uncover, which that's good. But this study, what they did is they studied professional soccer goalies defending penalty kicks. And they found that goalies who stay in the center of the goal, instead of lunging left or right, have a 33% chance of stopping the goal. So think of where I'm going here now. Stay centered. Don't go too far left. Don't go too far right. Now, I detest politics, and we know this is one of the biggest problems in politics. You've either got people far to the left or far to the right, and we have an enormous problem staying centered and meeting in the middle. So 33% chance of stopping the goal, just stay in the middle. How often do you think goalies stay in the middle when they're facing a shot? Ted, take a guess. What do you think the percent is? 6%. 6%. So here's statistics, data to back it up. Just stay centered. Nope. I'm gonna just guess and go left or go right. And that's the problem. That analogy is true for many leaders because reflection can feel like staying in the center of a goal and missing the action. So if you can't make a decision and go one way or the other, and you have to stay in the middle and think and process and weigh your options and embrace different perspectives, that doesn't feel like you're accomplishing anything. So that's the problem, right? It just doesn't feel rewarding. So no ROI, don't like the process, don't understand the process. And lastly, this is the biggest of all for anybody. I don't care if you're a leader, you're in sales, you're a mother, a father, you're in any profession. It's so painful. Like who wants to see what they don't like? Because I alluded to the tears for the job seekers groups earlier in the show. It's not just tears. It's anger and self-loathing. It's I should have done this. I should have done that. Why did I do this? Why did I do that? Why do I keep repeating the same mistakes? And that's what, when people look in the mirror, there's this tendency to beat yourself up. And so if your experience with self-reflection is you don't like what you see, and it's going to remind you of all your problems and errors and mistakes, and you're going to just take yourself through this really nasty, cruel inner voice process, who would want to do that? Look, nobody judges us harder than we judge ourselves. And some people become so defensive in the process that they can't even learn anything because they don't want to face the difficulty.